Hi everyone, it's me Roxanne, and I'm back today with a brand new video featuring the Leah sewing machine by Mood Fabrics. In this segment, I'm going to show you how to access the one-touch utility stitches, and I'm also going to show you how to edit these stitches. I've been playing around with this machine for about a month now, and I have discovered a few features that I really like, so I'm going to be sharing those with you today. So let's get into it. Right now I'm directly in front of the machine and I'm going to turn it on because I want you to hear what it sounds like, and I want you to see what the LCD screen default settings are set to. In the LCD screen, it's default set to a straight stitch center needle position, which is indicated by this graphic. It's default set to a 2.5 stitch length. It's asking you to use your general purpose foot T. This little dot on the top is your tie off, which you can select using this key. If you select it at the very beginning of stitching, it will sew a few stitches in place to lock off your stitch. So that's a really nice option. This icon at the top right is showing you the grouping selection of stitches, and this icon is indicating this group of stitches here, which I call the direct selection utility stitches. These stitches include a center straight stitch, a left straight stitch, this is a stretch stitch, this is your lightning bolt stretch stitch, this is a regular zigzag, this is a multiple zigzag, this is an additional stretch stitch, this is your overcasting stitch, and this is your blind hem stitch. And of course on the bottom, this is your buttonhole stitch. I'd like to point out a couple of other features while I'm here showing you all the different options. This button here is a needle up, needle down, and this is a programmable needle up, needle down. If you select your needle to end at your seam with the needle up, you just need to press this button and it will go in the up position as indicated by this little needle with the arrow up. If you'd like it always to end with the needle down, you just need to press that and it will be set to go down every single time that you stop. That's a great feature because a lot of machines, they're always default set to needle down. But with this one, you have the option for setting up or down. This I already explained is the tie off button. This is your back stitch button. This is your speed control. And I found that turning toward the right, it goes pretty fast. So be careful if you're brand new to sewing. Keep it at a moderate level just for safety's sake. This is a mirroring button. This is an elongation button. And this is a twin needle button. I'll be discussing these later on in future videos. In addition to the memory button, the clear button, and this is the button to select different stitch menus. Now the buttons that I'm going to talk about next are the editing buttons for your straight stitch as well as your zigzag stitches. Now clicking this button directly under the stitch length will make your stitch smaller, clicking to the left, and longer to the right. The same holds true with your zigzag. Pressing the button to the left will give you a narrower zigzag. Pressing the button to the right will give you a wider zigzag. Now the black box or the darker box behind the 2.5 and the 3.5, that's showing the default settings. If you're using a straight stitch center needle, as I have indicated here, there are 15 different needle positions that your straight stitch can be set to. This is all the way to the left, and this is bringing your needle all the way to the right. That's the center. And that's all the way to the right. The reason why it's a great feature to have all these different needle positions is because if you're top stitching, you can really fine-tune your needle position to be perfectly parallel to one of your other needle positions. And it's also great if you're a quilter because you can really fine-tune your stitch by moving it to the left or to the right to get that perfect scant 1/4 of an inch seam. This is a view from the left side of the sewing machine, and I want to show you how to change out your presser foot. The Leah has snap-on presser feet, which are the easiest way to change out your presser feet quickly. If you notice, this is the shank attached to the shaft of the sewing machine, and there's a black button in the back. If you press that button, it will release your presser foot. Isn't that easy? There's a small bar on the center of the presser feet, or all the snap-on presser feet, and you just simply place that back under the shank and lower your presser foot, and it will snap right into position. I also want to show you one other great feature of the Leah, and that's this little feature right here, which is the manual cutter. It's very convenient just to cut off your threads after you finish sewing using this little tool. Another great feature of this sewing machine, it has an autopilot feature where you can sew using the start-stop button. Now, my other machines that have this feature, you have to unplug the foot control in order to use this option. But with this machine, you can leave your foot control plugged in and use this option as well. Here I am in front of the sewing machine, and I have it set up with a organ needle size 14. This is what came with the machine. And I do all my samples on a poly cotton woven blend when I do my demos. Right now I have it set up to do a center needle straight stitch, default set to 2.5. And as I sew along, I'm going to lengthen the stitch so you can see what the default stitch looks like and see how long the stitch becomes when you have it set all the way to its longest stitch. I have it set up to do a lock stitch, so as you'll notice, it's going to do a couple of stitches in place before it gets going. And I have it set up at a moderate speed. Now I'm going to set it to go up a little bit higher to a 3.5. And I'm going to lengthen it all the way to the 4.5, which is the longest stitch that can be done on this machine. I also had my needle up programmed so it would end up in the needle up position. Going to cut with the manual cutter. There is the longest stitch that the Leah does. There is a mid-length stitch, and this is a short stitch, which the Leah is default set. Right now I have the machine set up to do a number 5 zigzag, which is the utility stitch over here in the center. I have it set up to sew a 1.0 length and a 1.0 in width. And as I go along sewing, I'm going to show you all the different variations from very small zigzag all the way up to a very wide, longer zigzag, so you can see how many different options you have. I'm going to go ahead and place my presser foot down. I'm starting off with a very narrow, short zigzag, and I'm going to lengthen it and widen it so you can see all the different variations. So here are the stitches. Look at that tiny, perfect little zigzag, moving into a wider zigzag, adding length, moving all the way down to wider, longer zigzag, and to the widest, length and width. So there's a good amount of variety when it comes to doing the zigzag on this machine. Thank you for stopping by today and watching my latest video featuring the Leah sewing machine by Mood Fabrics. I hope that you found this little introduction to the utility stitches that have one-touch access helpful, and editing the length and the width of those stitches. I hope that some of these other features like the needle up, needle down, which is programmable, as well as the tie off option and the manual cutter will also be features that you'll take advantage of if you own this machine. So if you've liked what you've seen, please subscribe to my channel. I intend to do more videos on this machine, showing all the other options as I continue to explore them. So as always, have a happy creative day. Bye now.